and welcome to another episode of the Restore Mentor. On today's episode we are going to try and restore this rather sad looking SNES cartridge I purchased off eBay. As you can see, someone's decided to paint it or colour it in with permanent marker, so yeah, we'll see what we can do with it. Using a game bit screwdriver, first you want to just remove the two screws, one in each side of the cartridge, and split the cartridge into its two halves. First off, when you take the cartridge apart, just inspect the circuit board. This one was actually a working cartridge, so we'll just clean the contacts with some alcohol, and yeah, it'll all be good. Next step is to just using some washing up liquid, give the cartridge a good clean just to get rid of the years of crud before we get going to try and attempt to remove the permanent marker. Next step on this cartridge, as you see, the label is a bit worn in the corners, so I decided to replace it. After soaking it in sort of hot water, it's relatively easy to come off, but just take your time and keep soaking it and get your finger in behind it really. Yeah. That's the most of the label off. As you see, there's still some residue, so I just use some alcohol again, and that just eats away at the glue, and it's relatively easy then to remove the rest of the label. Next, the actual hard part of the restoration is to attempt to get rid of the permanent marker off of the outer shell. First off, I tried to use just rubbing alcohol with cotton bud. It did seem to sort of eat away at it a little bit, but if I was to continue doing it this way, I think I'd still be doing it next year. So yeah, I had to try or think of something else that I could take it off with. Next up, I thought I'd try just normal deodorant, as I read somewhere that this would actually help remove permanent marker off of plastic. However, yeah, this was pretty useless, so I decided to try something else. Right, next up, what I done, as you can see on the left hand side, again using the alcohol, but this time using a mild scouring pad, and just agitated it. It actually worked really well, but yeah, as you see later in the video, for the awkward parts I had to use something else. Next up, yeah, on the rear of the cartridge, the little fins on the back are really awkward, obviously, to get the pen out of. I tried using a toothbrush, but it did help, but it wasn't perfect, so I had to think of another solution. Just using a cocktail stick to get in the little grooves, it did kind of help get the pen out, but again, I needed to move on to something a little bit more stronger, as you'll see shortly. Getting desperate now, obviously, to try and get rid of the rest of the black. I decided to raid the medicine cabinet and yeah, try some toothpaste. This had little to no effect on the permanent marker, unfortunately, but hey, worth a try. Next up, I decided to raid the garage and actually break out some paint thinners. This worked really well actually, but what I would suggest is when you put it on, agitate it, and what you want to do is wash it off very quickly because it will actually eat into the plastic. It did affect the rear side, but luckily it's where the label sticks over, so you won't see when the label's on. But yeah, it worked really well, but like I say, just make sure you wash it off quickly before it actually melts the plastic. Next up, what I've done is just using some compressed air, just give the cartridge circuit board a quick blow just to get rid of any dust before reassembly, and as you'll see, then I just got some alcohol using a cotton bud and just clean the copper contacts to get rid of the years of sort of build up and make the cartridge work efficiently every single time you plug it into the SNES. Next up, just well, reassembly is obviously easy. Just put the circuit board back into the two little notches, clip the two halves together, and reinsert the two screws. Next up, the satisfying job of just reapplying the label. I ordered this label offline, however the quality's not too bad, but it's slightly different to the original, as in the size is a little bit smaller, but hey ho, it looks a lot nicer than the original one. And that brings to a close another restoration video. I hope you enjoyed watching. It turned out really good. I'm quite pleased with the results. Not perfect, but a lot better than it did look originally. Yeah, thank you. Please like, share, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.